Hello, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the third edition of UNWA's Forum. First of all, thank you so much for being here. We are gonna start the seminar of today. As a way of an introduction, my name is Patricia Carbonell, and I represent the UNWA's Alliance. It's an initiative by Revolve, which is a communication group established in Barcelona, Brussels, and Vienna. UNWA stands for a Mediterranean Water and Journalism Alliance, which continues to grow its dynamic community of thought leaders, journalists, entrepreneurs, and policymakers who are working towards a more sustainable world to improve quality reporting and coverage in the water and energy nexus. So we recently launched the UNWA's brand new site and the Tajarat storytelling series, and we invite you to explore it and to join the community and contribute to the Tajarat series with your opinions and stories from around the Mediterranean. After some successful events in Amman in 2016 and in Barcelona in 2018, given the ongoing global health crisis, UNWA has decided to organize this year's forum as a digitally immersive experience in partnership with the Union for the Mediterranean. The event was previously planned to be held in Beirut, in Lebanon. However, we will be organizing an afforestation activity there in November. So please help us as well to grow the Beirut River Forest by donating to our initiative. You can find more details in the UNWA's Alliance site, Beirut 2020, and you can contribute and volunteer for that coming up in November. So previous events, we highlighted different critical areas in the MENA region, such as water consumption, freshwater scarcity, and the need for public awareness campaigns to influence policymaking and increase the outreach of these complex issues. And of course, highlight the solutions that we have available. So within this context, UNWA's advanced partnerships and opened business opportunities for young entrepreneurs and encourage more dialogue between researchers from the scientific community, but also from the media and journalistic networks, because we see great impact doing that kind of panel discussions, media workshops, and field trips to actually see real solutions in action. So this is always followed by interviews, videos, and other inspiring resources that create a very valuable cluster and ripple effect of communicating sustainability in different languages in different countries. So this year, we are very excited to share with you 2 days of live discussions involving industry experts and journalists to address the latest issues in the water and energy nexus around the Mediterranean. Today, we particularly focus in the need for regional cooperation. We believe that it's key to create synergies across the shores to drive coaction towards reliable and sustainable energy and water for all. So knowing the diversity of our region, the 2 discussion panels during today and tomorrow will have simultaneous translation in Arabic, English, and French. If you have any problems with the Arabic translation, please write in the chat and we will provide with support. I want to mention as well that in parallel to these digital events, UNWA is partnering with ESCWA Middle East and KAS to organize a water and energy mediathon, which started yesterday and it ends tomorrow. The mediathon specifically is designed for journalists and communication experts to come up with innovative campaigns to raise awareness and increase demand for sustainable and water solutions. So after the discussion panel tomorrow, October 29, the winners of the mediathon will be announced. So without any more hesitance, I would like to thank all our partners that are making this UNWA Alliance and this forum possible. And I really hope that you enjoy these days of fruitful learning and dialogues. And I wish good luck to all of the participants of the mediathon. So please don't forget to follow us on social media. Feel free to share your ideas with the hashtag UNWASLive, and my colleague Rami will share the handles in this chat so you can easily follow us and engage with the community. And now I'm pleased to give the floor to Al-Motaz Abadi, Managing Director at the Union of the Mediterranean, followed by Aline Guzman, Co-Director of ESCWA, and Cora Craigmile, Project Manager at SIWAS, and finally, Daniela Diegelman, Head of KAS Reem, our partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Buenos dias. Assalamu alaikum. Bonjour. I am very happy to represent the water sector at the Union for the Mediterranean. Later today, we will hear from our great Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Isidro González, who is managing the water environment and blue economy sector, and he's the Deputy Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean, to talk about the pros and cons, the political aspects of our event today in the regional cooperation over water and environment. For the setting the scene, I am very happy to see that this third edition of Amwaj that had been started 5 years ago with the direct support of our great friend Stewart. And I was very pleased to be part of the giving the name. As you know, Amwaj is in Arabic mean waves. And today we are discussing water that will give waves to the energy, as well as water energy nexus will give waves to the economic development in the region, that the Union for the Mediterranean is keen on engaging all segment of civil society, including youth, women, and all governmental, non-governmental actors, civil society, private sector, into the development process. And to do so, we are very pleased and to be part of this Amwaj to engage on a substantial discussion in how to put the water and energy sector into the right place to contribute to the socio-economic development around the Mediterranean, as well as how to make these two sectors affordable for our citizens and for the future generation. As said by Patricia, we are giving hope, as we are not going to stop our activity because of pandemic. This session on Zoom is to achieve the objective that we are sharing our point of view and trying to integrate our recommendation into the national policies as well as in the regional policy framework of action, and also to give a message of hope that even the situation is difficult, we are here. And I just remember Mahmoud Darwish when he said, نحن نحب الحياة مهما استطعنا إليها سبيلا. And we love our life as much as we can. With this, I would like to end my discussion and call upon you for active participation. Thank you very much. Buenos dias from Barcelona for all.
Aline Guzman, if you are around, feel free to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Al-Mutaz. Hello and good afternoon, everyone from Jordan. My name is Aline. I'm the co-director of SIWAS and one of the early and old fans of Amwaj. So I'm very happy to be here and part of this great event. At SIWAS, we follow a quite similar goal like Amwaj. We focus on the support of a community of entrepreneurs that innovate solutions in the water and environmental sector. And these entrepreneurs, they navigate their way through the challenges and pressures in the region and the sectors, and they just go for opportunities that, help us to become more sustainable. And I think that's one of the most important developments that I see happening. And I think in order to accelerate this and to make, more innovators succeed in the sector, and support these change makers, we need to get together and we need to lobby jointly and we need to communicate. And I think that's what we're doing today and also tomorrow, and many of us continuously. So around 4 years ago, I was invited to the first Amwaj Forum in Jordan. And I have to say it was the first event of such kind, because I think it was a different type of platform to talk about sustainability and bring actors that are very different, but all kind of involved in the sectors together and see how they can benefit from each other's work. And I think what we are trying to do now is to continue this exchange, and I hope this exchange goes beyond the words, but is really leading to projects and collaborations and really a motivation and inspiration for the work that each of us is doing. And because we have such a great platform with Amwatch now, we as CWAS connected lots of activities to it. And we recently, for example, under the Blue Peace Media project that we're implementing in cooperation with the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung and the Swiss government, implemented a water journalism academy. And my colleague Cora will announce the winners in just a few moments, who are having produced amazing media projects and products that will be honored today. And Patricia already mentioned the Water and Energy Mediathon that is running in parallel this week, where we have journalists and communication experts with entrepreneurs developing innovative campaigns that can help to trigger awareness and develop markets. And I think that just an amazing, bubble of activities that is happening all together. And I wish that we have exciting sessions and activities to come, and I look forward to connect and be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aline, and thank you, Patricia, and the whole team at Revolve. My name is Cora, and I am a project manager at CWAS. It's very exciting to have this space where we can all come together to discuss issues that are very dear to us, that really, really matter to us. And I think we can all agree that one of the main reasons that we're here is because we want to really bridge the gap between journalism and water issues in the Mediterranean region. And that's exactly what the Blue Peace Media Lab initiative has been doing over the last few years. The initiative, it really aims to foster constructive water journalism, meaning not only exposing the issue, but also offering pathways for solving it, for addressing it. So really highlighting solutions, success stories, and really changing the narrative a bit around water issues, which I think we can all agree is really important and it really, really needs to happen. So just to give you a few examples of some of the projects that have been happening under the Blue Peace Media Lab initiative this year, a few months ago, we started an online water journalism academy where young amateur or professional journalists joined us to generate new ideas and new communication ways of telling water stories in innovative ways. And I am shortly going to announce the 3 winners for this online academy. And this has been now followed by the Mediathon that's happening right now in parallel to this event. And the Mediathon is also bringing in not only journalists this time, but also any media professional to work together to create, design new and exciting and original media campaigns for startups in the water and energy sector. So yeah, again, the values are coming together, really putting all the different media journalism skills together to really change the water narrative. And without further ado, I'm going to announce the 3 winners of the Water Journalism Academy, and I think they should be here with us. So the first one was Rashid Montasir, without any particular order, they're all like our 3 winners. So Rashid Montasir from Morocco, who wrote a piece on the traditional irrigation technique, Kitara, in the House region. So I'm not sure if Rashid is here, you want to give a wave? Mohammed El Said from Egypt, who wrote a piece about the importance of using science to mitigate drought in Egypt. And then finally, we had Sahar Al-Shameri from Yemen, who made a video documentary exposing the role of women in water governance in Yemen. So I will, if it's okay with you, Patricia, I will share their details in the chat and their articles and documentary. Thank you very much, and excited to be here tomorrow for the announcement of the Mediathon winners.
Congratulations to the winners, and of course, Cora, you can write their details here. I will give the floor to Daniela.
Yes, thank you very much, Patricia, for giving me the floor. So first of all, greetings from Rabat to everyone who is watching us right now. I hope you're all doing well and you're safe and healthy. And I'd also like to give you all a warm welcome on behalf of Konrad Adenauer Stiftung and of our regional office, Energy Security and Climate Change, Middle East and North Africa, based here in Morocco. We're very, very excited to be part of this year's Amwash conference, the third conference already. And we would like to thank from our hearts Revolve and Sevas for this wonderful cooperation, especially to Patricia and to Yannick, but also the many others like Cora and so many who contributed to this great experience. And with Sevas, we have previously worked on the Water Journalism Academy. You've just heard about it, so I'm not going to repeat anything. Just congratulations again also to our winners. They really did wonderful work. And then in this Amwash conference, we are cooperating with Sevas and Revolve on the Media Hackathon, where you've already also heard about it. And tomorrow you will be hopefully with us to see who won the Mediathon. And as has already been mentioned before, also regional cooperation, it's very important, and it's also at the core of our work at Kasrimina. We're also very happy to see not only Revolve and Sevas, but also the Union for the Mediterranean represented here with our dear friend Al-Mutaz Avadi. Greetings from here, also to Barcelona. And yes, so our office just briefly focuses on a variety of issues. Among them, water and energy are, of course, very important, but we also work on climate issues and in general sustainable development. And we aim at providing platforms for both cross-sectoral and cross-regional dialogue, and not only intra-regional, but also inter-regional. So we think it's important to discuss on both sides of the Mediterranean. When it comes to providing these platforms, I think Amwash is a great opportunity and is aiming at the same. So it's a real pleasure for us to be part of this initiative for the first time this year. And I leave it like this because we're running out of time, and I'll give the floor back. Thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you so much, Daniela, and everyone. Thank you to all your contributions. We truly appreciate your time, and thank you all the speakers that are taking part of this session today, and of course the presence of the audience. And now I hand it over to Rana El-Haj, today's moderator, who will be introducing you to all our panelists and topics. So enjoy.
Thank you, Patricia, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm really pleased to be with all of you today, and thank you for Amwash for having me. For this session on regional cooperation on water and energy in the Mediterranean. My name is Rana El-Haj. I am the Climate Change and Environment Program Manager at Isam Fares Institute for Public Policy and International Affairs at the American University of Beirut. We are very pleased to have with us our esteemed speakers today from various institutions and fields from around the region. We have with us today Mr. Isidro González, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean, in charge of water, environment, and blue economy. We also have with us Ms. Reem Nejdawi, who is the Chief Food and Environment Policy Section at ESCWA here in Beirut. Ms. Soumaya Zaddem, she is the North Africa representative in the Africa Youth Advisory Board on Disaster Risk Reduction of African Union. Ms. May El-Sayegh is the Communication Manager of the Lebanon Crisis Response Plan at the Ministry of Social Affairs in Lebanon, and she also co-heads the international departments at the Al-Jumhuriya newspaper. Mr. Khaled Suleiman. He is an environmental journalist from Iraq, Kurdistan, and he is the author of Water Guards, Drought and Climate Change in Iraq. Just to talk a bit about the context of this session, it's really obvious to everyone that countries of the Mediterranean region are really facing many challenges, both on the short and the long term. Beyond the political uncertainty, the generalized economic slowdown, and macroeconomic instability, resource scarcity and security is really expected to be heavily hit by climate change impacts in the Mediterranean. Climate projections in the Mediterranean to the mid-century reflect an average temperature increase of about 2 degrees Celsius, around 6 to 12 centimeter rise in Mediterranean sea level, a 5 to 10% fall in precipitation, and an increase in extreme climatic events such as drought and floods, especially in urban settings. All of these compounded factors and the interlinked interdependencies among the resources, mainly the water, the energy, and the food, are expected to lead to a decrease of around 50% in agricultural production by the end of the century, and a 60% food imbalance by mid-century in European and Mediterranean partner countries. So in face of such challenges and the urgent need of adaptation of the countries, important questions arise here on the role, the means, and mechanisms for cooperation among the countries towards a more, if you want, collective and integrated action. And especially during these times, the question that's always comes to mind, should countries look more into the national circumstances and look into self-sufficiency, or should they open more towards regional cooperation? And to help us answer some important questions are our panelists with us today, such as how can cooperation on important resources, especially what we call input resources, such as water and energy. So how can cooperation on water and energy in the Mediterranean region support resilience building, adaptation to climate change, and achieving the sustainable development goals? What are some existing mechanisms and instruments, and what were the lessons learned and the challenges faced with regards to these examples among Mediterranean countries? And why is going towards a more integrated approach in terms of water, energy, and maybe food, we'll get into that later on, why is it important for the Mediterranean region? And what are the roles that the various stakeholders involved that they can play in enhancing cooperation? The way that we will do this is that we will start with a presentation by all of our speakers that they will give us their general input on this topic to help us address these questions that I just mentioned, and after which we will go into more specific questions. And finally, we will be taking some questions from the attendees in this seminar. So we're going to start. I'll go by who I have here on my screen first, Mr. Isidro González.
Hello, good afternoon to all of you from Spain, today from Barcelona, yesterday from Madrid. So happy to see you all, and congratulations for being able to gather together in this difficult period, because what is going on now to the region, and not only to the region, to the planet, will definitely change our lives in some way or the other. And there will be, we have to get ready for that. We have to work in a post-pandemic agenda, positive agenda, and we have to insist in the importance of working together. And particularly in a region that is, Rana just said, that is particularly affected by climate change. we know we discovered in a report issued by MEDEC, the Association of Scientists on Climate Change, that the Mediterranean region is the second most impacted or affected region in the planet by climate change, only after the Arctic region. The temperature in the Mediterranean region is growing 20% faster than in other parts of the planet. So the situation indeed is very serious. As you say, the temperature will rise by 2 degrees, 2.2 exactly by 2050. The water level will rise, and many other not very encouraging predictions are looming us. That's why we need to work together. Answering to your question, and not to be too long, I just can say that the climatic variability and the climatic vulnerability of the Mediterranean is impacting all sectors. Is creating or bringing about or even making worse the problem of water scarcity in our region. You know that the Mediterranean population represents 7% of the global population, but we only have 3% of the water of the planet. So there is a mismatch that we have to handle with. We have to manage, and many other. This is of course triggering migration, not orderly migration, but desperate migration by people who are risking their life in a humanitarian drama that is affecting all of us, and has to steer ourselves and make us move to find solutions. And this is also launching thousands and tens of thousands and millions of young people in the Mediterranean to the unemployment, to the despair, to the loss of hope for the future. So we need to, and a great part of this, it was already being taking place because of a climatic problem and the problems of the region to adapt to climate change. And that's why also, coming back to your question, even if we are now in a growing economic crisis due to the pandemic, we shouldn't forget that accomplishing the Sustainable Development Goals should continue to be a priority. That has been the message in Europe by the European Union when they approved the Green Deal in December last year. And it is the message that we are launching from Barcelona now that we are celebrating this year the 25th anniversary of the Barcelona process, the Barcelona Declaration. And we are launching this message with a Union for the Mediterranean agenda for a greener Med. So we need to continue working on all these areas. So energy supply, of course, will also be affected, and so on. So there are so many issues to be solved, and I'm looking forward to hearing experiences from the ground, like the one that Khaled Suleiman will tell us later, etc. So I pass you back the floor, Rana, and I will join you later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will move now to Ms. Reem Nejdawi.
Thank you, Rana, and thank you, Mouaj, for this online forum. Actually, it's an honor to be participating in this important session of today regarding water and energy. And in my case, I will add, and you added already climate change, and I will add the food element. It's really an important issue to the Mediterranean and to the Arab region that has 8 Mediterranean countries, and actually most of the population of the Arab region is around the Mediterranean. Arab states definitely can gain a lot if we look at the issues in an integrated and interlinked manner. Specifically, as you rightly started this discussion with, we have scarcity in water, we have scarcity in arable land, we are the most affected by the climate change, and we need to move forward with our development needs. And this is where the dilemma is. Where should our investment go to? What are the priorities to address? Where are the trade-offs? I think these questions necessitate that we look at things in an integrated manner, because your investment in one sector can either augment that investment on others. If you invest in water technologies, it can really help you with your with addressing climate change, if the right type of technologies address climate change, expand and increase the productivity of your agricultural sector and your limited arable land, feed more people, use your resources efficiently and productively. But if you do the opposite, if you invest in one sector and the outcome of that investment, like overpumping of water for the agricultural sector, then you are the effects, the negative effects will also be enormous. This is where taking a nexus approach towards planning is essential, towards implementation and coordination is another essential element. Contextualizing your issues in an interlinked manner is also important. We see the 2030 agenda, when it was first launched, everyone was talking about the achievement of the 2030 agenda, which is the interlinked approach, that the agenda is a whole. The 17 goals are interlinked. You can't pick and choose from these goals. I want this goal this year and I want that goal next year. You have to take the agenda as a whole, because it is a holistic and integrated agenda. And this is, however, this creates complexity, because you can't look at, when you work at the sectoral level and you concentrate on one sector, it is a linear effect. So you have inputs, you look at the impact on one sector, and it's much easier, and not only easier but quicker. You implement quickly, you don't need all these consultation, and you have limited stakeholders. However, when you are working with an interlinked and intersectoral process, it is lengthy. You need consultation, you need coordination, cross-planning, and that takes time. We don't have enough experience in that. Our systems don't support that at the sectoral level. We have trade-offs that we have to think of with a helicopter view. You can't think of your sector alone. You have to think of other sectors. So you have to think of the interest of people. And this is where the 2030 agenda came with a people-centered. It is based on human rights. It is not based on a sector flourishing on the account of others, because at the end, the interest of people is what matters. At the national, regional, and global, actually, global level is mentioned there. If we come back to talk about the Arab regional level, this is really an issue. An issue because we import most of our food because of lack of, because of limited arable land and scarcity of water, limited access to green technologies that can support the increase in productivity and yield. And here we don't talk about monetary productivity alone. It is an element, but the productivity per drop of water, per hectare of land is an important issue. Not only the economic or the yield in terms of a dollar sign. It is the yield of how many people will be fed with a hectare, with a drop of water. That is an important element for the region. And we need to look at things again in an interlinked way. Otherwise, we will lose. This is the issue. We cannot sustain our work and our plans and our implementation with business as usual. I'll stop here and wait for the questions. I have a lot on what we are doing as ESCWA on these issues, but maybe it will come.
I will be coming back to you with that question.
Thank you.
So moving on, we will now move to Mr. Khaled Suleiman.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm really happy to be with you and discuss about this huge topic, this important topic, water-related issues. I am, as a journalist, experienced journalist on this topic, especially in Iraq and Middle East. So I'm going to be more, I'm going to talk in journalistic way, not technical way, because some questions are technical, but I am, in the end, I am a journalist. So I'm trying to humanize the, climate issues, water-related issues, and how to give human face to these kind of environmental issues. And in the end, isn't, the climate change isn't an isolated phenomenon. Is, moral, human, and social issues. So we have to look to this issue in this point of view. Usually we talk about, the Mediterranean region, where, what's going on now and what's happened in 1 decade ago or 2 decades ago. So I'm going to talk about what will happen after 3 decades. Recently, I just published an article in Arabic on Daraj media platform in Beirut. So about what will happen in this region. According to scientist research, published recently by MIT University in the United States. So because of severe climate change in this region, we will lose in 3 decades, next 3 decades, we will going to lose between 40 and 60% of precipitation. And this will decrease many kind of challenges, of problems, of obstacles in the region. So my answer to one of question why it's important to talk about this region, I'm going to say because we have to know, we have to inform not just government, formal institutions. No, we have to inform local populations, communities, what's going on, and we have to focus on the role of media, how media can play crucial role to build a bridge between local communities, between scientists, institutions, government, authorities. This is my question, and I'm going to be back on for the other initiative and innovative idea. What can we do as a journalist? Sorry.
Okay, thank you. I will come back to you with that exact question. Okay, so now we can move to May.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be among you today, distinguished speakers and colleagues. I don't like to repeat what already have been mentioned by Mr. González or Mrs. Reem and Khaled, but it seems that from now on that we don't have the time or luxury to wait. So the sectorial approach is no longer sufficient to work on water and energy issues. And since Bonn 2011 conference, we moved from integration, not only just water and energy, and now towards the nexus approach that already Mrs. Reem mentioned, that involve facilitating enhancement of water, energy, and food security while preserving ecosystems and their functions. Thus, the focus is now on system efficiency rather than on productivity of isolated sectors. Given all the compounded crises in our region and all the challenges mentioned by Mr. González and Reem, increasing demand for resources, population growth, climate change. So the importance of integration of water and energy modeling will allow us for identification of regions at risk in terms of water availability and vulnerability of the energy system. So we cannot, as a single nation or a single community, we don't have enough resources to cope with the pace of climate change. So in line with the SDGs, we have combined all of our efforts to work towards a comprehensive and a holistic participatory approach that includes the youth, the women, the media, in this to mitigate the impacts of climate change in our region. And on top of that now comes the COVID-19, and that exacerbates the existing vulnerabilities. So energy has a role to play in attaining SDG. 6 billion of people today lack access to clean and drinking water and sanitation, and 80% of wastewater is discharged untreated. So the Nexus approach now is essentially about moving beyond the traditional sectorials and adopting an integrated approach and resolving conflicts while respecting environmental constraints. And as Reem said, not to forget the human rights issues. And if I may say that in what happened in Europe gives us an example how the energy system is becoming more vulnerable to reduced water availability and increased water temperatures, resulting in temporary shutdowns of energy facilities. So understanding the water demand of the energy system and its future evolution provides valuable information on its potential impact on water resources. So assessing the availability of water resources will help us to identify areas of risk, inform the design of policies, decarbonization. Also, this have a higher water footprint, and this requires from us to focus more on renewable energy. So to capture the benefits and synergies under an access approach, this requires an enhanced integration at the knowledge, policy, legislative, and institutional levels and frameworks. In the MENA region, unfortunately, we have uncoordinated governance settings and policies, and Rana as well at IFI have been working on how to capacitate institutions to be able to participate and to advocate for the Nexus approach in our region. So if I come back to your questions that was shared before, there are good stories from the region on the food, water, energy ecosystem nexus. And thanks to GW Med, and this story comes from in Algeria, and this shared aquifer between Algeria, Libya, and Tunisia. So we have success stories in the region, and this Nexus package includes 5 high-priority implemental solutions ranging from governance, international cooperation, economic and policy instruments, infrastructure, and innovation. So the solutions consist of 65 actions taken by work done in the region, but it needs more to be highlighted in the media. And here I would also would like to thank Amouage and SEWAS for engaging journalists. And recently, the last year, we have been participating at IFI on a training on how to present media solutions for people in our region, not just portraying what is the situation, what are the problems, and what is the experience of the experts. And we were introducing more solutions. But still in our region, we need to work more on the data, to work more on governments and capacitating solutions to be able to push for this nexus approach. And it's not just we have success stories in the region at regional level, also at the local level. Despite the power cutoffs here in Lebanon and water shortage, but we have successful story in Nail Farm in Bekaa Valley, how they manage, they have agriculture program that includes number of practices and techniques that aim to reduce agriculture pollution and energy use and improve water efficiency. And concerning one question, stakeholders, so all stakeholders should be involved from the institutional level, the governments, civil society, you as well, Rana, you have doing a tremendous job as IFI in Lebanon in providing platforms for introducing solutions for the nexus in the region. So I prefer to stop here.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you very much.
I will be ready.
Yes, I will come back to you again with your capacity as a journalist to ask you the same question that I will ask Khaled on the role of media. Okay, we will move now to our final panelist, Ms. Soumaya. I think, are you with us? Because I cannot see you on my screen.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm really sorry that my camera is not working. I'm trying my best to make it work.
I think it's no problem if you can go maybe throughout the session, we can solve this problem.
Yes, sure. So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to begin with this quote, which reminds us how water is the driving force for all nature, but also a natural resource that is at the core of sustainable development. It's critical for socio-economic development, healthy ecosystems, and for human survival itself. So water can be linked to anything such as energy. And in our world, water and energy are closely linked. The water sector is important and is a major consumer of energy for purposes such as water treatment, pumping, desalination, etc. So the need to manage water resources is evidently urgent. Thus, with both energy and water demands expected to grow, major investments are being made to develop new sources of water supply and energy generation. It's therefore particularly important to understand the interlinkages between the energy and water systems to enable the implementation of the most efficient and effective infrastructure systems. However, any domain has its own challenges, and if we are talking about challenges here in water and energy nexus, we are facing many of them, such as, let's say, the lack of availability of comprehensive and integrated data, the effect of climate change on freshwater resources like warming oceans, sea level rise, acidifications, etc. According to the FAO, the Mediterranean region holds only 3% of global water resources, but hosts over 50% of the world's water poor populations, around 180 million people. Also a changing climate with rising temperatures and shifts in the spatial and the temporal distribution of rainfall is likely to impact on crop productivity and food security, etc. So how can we face most of these challenges? We need, first of all, data on water usage within the energy sector that can be done from water footprint measures, which is the amount of water used to produce each of the goods and services we use, and implementing it all over the Mediterranean area. There is a need to follow many countries' examples and overcome the water energy challenges, like, for example, the key stakeholders who can play a great role through their cooperation. And that can be done through ensuring that all commitments are translated into action on the ground, and where governments, private companies, and civil society all work together. So I will stop here for now, and yes, we will continue discussion about this topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will go back to Mr. Isidro, and I know that you at UFM have already done many cooperation agreements, or you have different cooperation mechanisms among Mediterranean countries on water and other topics. So based on the experience that you have had, how can you gauge the advancement that was done throughout the years on cooperation, sectorally, but also in terms of going more towards an integrated approach?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Rana. Well, we were working at two levels, if you like. We are working on the one hand with projects, the implementation of projects which have been labeled. This is to be politically endorsed by all the 42 member states of the Union for the Mediterranean, which is a way to, which is the best publicity for this project, because they have the political backing of 42 countries. It is easier for them, or it is easier for us to help to create a good momentum, a good opportunity to raise funds and to advance in the implementation of this project, because all the other countries will be keeping an eye closely on the country, or the countries which are developing this project. So it's a matter of reputation. And then we are preparing in different sectors. For instance, in water, every few years we have a ministerial meeting on water, where we'll convene all the ministers dealing with water of the 42 member states. The last one took place in Malta a few years ago, and we are thinking maybe in 1-2 years to go for the next one. And that will be a good advancement. Next year also, if we're talking about energy, there will be a ministerial meeting of all the 42 member states of the Union for the Mediterranean, with the ministers of energy all together taking decisions. By the beginning of next year in Egypt, we will organize also a ministerial meeting on environment and climate action, which is such an important topic also. And then if we go to talk about different sectors, we have implemented some policies, mainstream policies in different areas. For instance, we have been working, we continue working in trying to improve gender equality, even also in water and energy resources management. We are also, I think, working hard on raising awareness on the importance of increasing youth and female employment. It is important that the women in the Mediterranean, which represent only 25% of the workforce, this is still low. They have a full access and wider and bigger access to the labor market, and also the young people, which is a future. We have now a generation which is probably the most prepared one. in our history in the Mediterranean, and a majority of them, or a large part of them, this majority is unemployed. So we need to, so at the Union for the Mediterranean, we insist on the importance of youth employment. Also, I tell you that the scope is so wide. I tell you only a few examples. I mean, regarding migration policies, we also trying to enhance or to underline the gender and development impacts on migration. We should not stigmatize or see as a negative issue migration. Migration has to be seen with different eyes. It has to be tackled in a comprehensive manner. We are also trying to work on promoting innovation in the water sector and in the energy sector, and so on and so forth. So far, and I think that there was already one question in writing the question and answers. We will come to that later about the achievements of the last 25 years. I mean, in the last 25 years in the Mediterranean, by signing the Barcelona Declaration in 1995, we raised awareness of the importance of working together. And the level of economic integration of the Mediterranean countries is one of the lowest in the world. Only 1% of the trade is done between, especially in the countries of the south of the Mediterranean. Only 1% of their trade is done among all the countries of the south of the Mediterranean. This is extremely low. And so we should help, or we should work together to increase the interconnectivity of the markets and the integration of the markets. That's the only way for progress, for economic progress to be made. And finally, we are also working on strengthening institutional partnerships. We are in contact with different international organizations which are very active in the Mediterranean. For example, UNESCO, with the UNESCO Water section. We are working with the FAO, based in Rome, as you know, on the launching of a Mediterranean food system platform that will be approved soon. You will hear about this soon. And also we're working with the United Nations agencies involved in the Mediterranean, the UNDP, UNEP, etc., etc. So I could be speaking until midnight about all this, but I think it's time to pass you the floor back.
Do you feel that throughout the years that work is going more towards an integrated approach? Is it obvious that we are going more towards bringing all of these? You talk about ministerial meetings on water, you talk about ministerial meetings on energy. Do you feel that both groups are starting to speak the same language and are able to come together more towards more integrated thinking?
Well, this depends on how the perspective from which you see it. But obviously, talking among all countries, the dialogue among countries, and organizing these ministerial meetings, this helps. This is not the panacea. It will not solve all problems, but this is contributing to exchange of information. And then we are talking about issues where there is consensus, because climate change does not know about borders. Water scarcity does not finish in one country and the next country is full of water. This very rarely happens. So these are issues where by which we are all affected, and we see that we can work together despite political problems between some countries. There is a positive agenda on environment, on water, even in energy. Even though the energy issue now is getting complicated in the side of the Mediterranean where you are, Eastern Mediterranean. But still, the only solution will be dialogue. What other solution we have? Shall we go to a aggressive measure? This will not, by no means. So we need to talk, and maybe now, especially in Eastern Mediterranean, we need to talk more than before, more than ever.
Okay. Thank you. I asked Reem maybe the same question in your capacity as ESCWA, maybe in particular in relation to Southern Mediterranean countries, Arab partner countries. How do you gauge, you as ESCWA have worked a lot in recent years on the Nexus approach and mainstreaming on tools. How do you gauge this advancement that these countries have or have not achieved on an integrated approach to water and energy and food?
Thank you, Rana, very much. Before talking about the progress or how we assess this progress, let me give our audience some highlights of our work. We've been working in this region for so long, and we have in our history a lot of milestones that we have achieved. However, I will talk about the recent initiatives that is of relevance to the core of this topic, which is integrated development and nexus approach to development. Now, we have been working on developing the capacity of our member countries on thinking of a nexus approach, whether it be water, energy, food, energy, agriculture, water, energy, agriculture, and climate change for some time. Recently, in 2019, in April, we achieved a big milestone where we supported in cooperation with our partners, mainly FAO and the Arab Organization for Agricultural Development. We were able to support the first ministerial session that has ministries of agriculture with ministries of water. The first one to happen at the regional level. That was in 2019. And this is an ongoing, every 2 years meeting where the two ministerial councils of the League of Arab States will meet to discuss issues of relevance to both. This is an important milestone because it's an institutional setup, it's a sustainable setup, a structure with internal bylaws, and with this ministerial level approach, we also supported the development of a technical committee that will meet and set the agenda for the ministers, so that the ministers, when they take resolutions, they are well informed by their technical people. And we support the technical committee along with other partners. I think this is the structure by itself is an achievement, but more so when you look at the issues that are to be discussed. Right now, we are discussing water allocation for agricultural sector. This is an important issue. You see countries in our region having their water strategies that are not linked to the agricultural strategies or in direct they don't talk to each other, but they are contradicting the plans of each other. Even we noticed that even when the Minister of Agriculture is the same Minister of Water, they don't talk to each other, and he doesn't talk to himself, because he has technical people for water and technical people for agriculture, and they have different plans. Now, in addition to that, we have 3 pilot initiatives on generation of electricity from micro hydro systems in a water transmission system in Tunisia. We have a pilot project in Syria on photovoltaic solar system for groundwater pumping, and also for groundwater pumping in Egypt. These are pilot projects, and we aim at the end to use these pilot projects as case studies for us to generate knowledge at the Arab regional level. Now, we also have we are working right now on a compendium of green technologies to address climate change and other natural resource efficiency issues. This green technology compendium will support the agricultural sector. It is in the making. We hope by the end of the year we will have the basic design online, and we will start the capacity building to use this compendium very soon. We also we are working right now on addressing climate change impact through our RICAR project, and I'm sure I can write on the chats maybe what RICAR stands for. Our project now is looking at we looked first at the region, and then we divided the region to 50 kilometers radius to study the impact of climate change until the end of the century. Now we're looking at 10 kilometers radius. So our member countries can really benefit from the outcome and the data that will be generated and the projections that will be generated. Another very important issue to look at when we say looking at the nexus approach at a regional or sub-regional level. Many of our issues are cross-border. The water issue, we have a cross-border issue, whether it be groundwater or that much of our water is coming from outside our region. This is an important issue, and environmental issues really don't know borders. And we need to coordinate and cooperate to keep our natural resources not only to our generation, but also to our current generation. We have a commitment to ourselves, to our level, and also to our children. I just wanted to share with you a small tip. As I mentioned earlier, this nexus approach is really time-consuming, is really dependent on consultation and dialogue, as my colleague just mentioned. They need this experience sharing and dialogue for it to work, and extensively with stakeholders as diverse as possible, to be able to address the impact of a plan of one sector on the other sectors. What is really needed also is to link the science to the policy level. This is important. We cannot have PhD theses, researches that are in the drawers.
Yeah, I will come back to you on this issue, on the issue of science and knowledge generation and data, because this was already brought up a lot by the other speakers, the importance of data. So I'll come back to you on that topic a bit later.
Okay.
All right.
We'll stop here and wait for later the questions.
Yes. My question is, I think it's the big elephant in the room that Mr. Isidro already mentioned it before. It is, and this question is to Mr. Khaled. It's related to, the geopolitical changes that are happening in the region. If we talk about energy in the Eastern Mediterranean, we can talk about water between Turkey, Iran. So, in your opinion, with the current situation, is it really reasonable to talk about any regional cooperation on resources? You have to unmute your unmute.
Yes, thank you. I would like to mention two very successful experience in the world. The first is Mekong River Commission. The second between Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. The second experience in West Africa between Mali, Mauritania, Guinea, and Senegal Basin River. So this kind of, creating a confederation on water-related, about water-related issues and sharing water, really and very good experience to us. Unfortunately, until now in Middle East, between Iraq, Turkey, Iran, Syria, and other countries too, there is not any kind of confederation. I can confirmingly say water confederation in the region. We have, an experience like 5+5, for example. As luckily it's until now it's going well, and there's many projects, many many mechanisms to sharing water, to sharing data between countries. And what I'm going to add is how to involve communities, how to involve locals to these projects, this kind of innovative idea. Without participation of a population of locals, we cannot, say anything if the project will go to realize or not. I'm talking about Iraq. When we talk about Turkey and Iraq, so the Turkey side, they have some comment about water management in Iraq. And water management in Iraq, for example, is related to local population. It's related to local conflicts in Iraq. Recently in Iraq, and I was in Iraq for 3 months last year when I was working on my book, Water Guards, and I saw there was a lot of conflicts. Even I can say there was fighting for water between local communities. So before any kind of cooperation between countries, we have to solve a local problem. We have to sensitize communities. We have to find new way to manage water.
But my question is, how can you actually ask for awareness among local communities or support from local communities moving towards more efficient use of resources when probably to them the issue is really at a much higher level, where they feel that for example, to begin with, that they are not getting enough for their share of water, for example. So how easy is it to really ask local communities to start taking measure while they are expecting measures that are at a really upper level?
In my point of view, I can say media and journalism can play a crucial role in terms of, awareness, public awareness. Secondly, local community itself. And thirdly, local authority. So I'm not talking about, the central government, because we have to think about how to decentralize the water management. Unfortunately, until now, in all countries, in Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, Iraq, there's a kind of centralizing of water management, and it's not going well. So we have to rethink. We have to change our way to manage the water. So that's why I'm talking about, decentralize this politics. So we can talk, for example, about, it's not comparison, it's just an example. We can talk about Stockholm cities. This is the smart cities and they have an effective way to manage the water, you know, and it's based on nature-based solutions. So in our country, south of the Mediterranean region, Arab countries, Arab cities, you know, we can think about this kind of you know, innovative way to manage the water, to inform local communities, to involve them, how to find solutions. Sometimes solutions came from by nature, innate way from local community, and this is, you know, how to realize reforestation, how to reuse the water. Sorry. I remember when I was small boy in a small village in Kurdistan. So my family, you know, my population, small population, you know, they reuse water. So how we don't do this kind of innate way to manage the water. So that's why I'm saying, you know, it's very important to resensitize some values, some cultures, some popular culture to manage water. It's not just the solution is not just scientific solutions. No, we have other kind of thinking to resensitize community to find new way to solve our problems.
Okay, thank you. May I to continue this discussion where Khaled is talking more about a bottom-up approach, maybe to going towards more efficient use, integrated. In your opinion, can we really see any advancement in terms of regional cooperation on water, energy, food nexus? If the countries themselves, and I give an example, Lebanon, where you work, you're familiar with, are not adopting such an approach, yes. So there is no common understanding on the national level on what it actually means to have such an integrated approach. So is it possible to go to a regional cooperation level when on the national level we are still behind?
Thank you, Rana. Actually, back in 2011, an initiative was raised by Strategic Foresight Group. It included Turkey, Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Palestine. And Khaled was part of this initiative. It's Blue Peace in the Middle East. So this initiative brought a lot of hope for the region that will be a regional cooperation on water issues. And within this initiative, we have the chance to visit the Mekong River, the Rhine River, and the Senegal and the Nile River. And we saw there how cooperation, what the problems were that helped those countries to cooperate. They already have problems with themselves and they have wars, internal disputes, even though despite all these challenges, they overcome it and try to think out of the box and find a solution, win-win situation, instead of focusing on allocation of water shares. But unfortunately, due to the war in Syria and the instability in Iraq and in Lebanon, this initiative was hindered and we didn't see a lot of progress, although it's being now coordinated by Turkey. But as you know, there are a lot of problems between Turkey and Iraq concerning El-Haj Dam and other dams, and mainly in Euphrates and Tigris rivers. So and now there is no hope, even though Mu'taz said that we have to count on hope, but unfortunately now there is no indicators that this regional cooperation will move forward. And as you have mentioned, in our countries, in Lebanon, our strategies are still not updated and we are not meeting the challenges. However, we learned that we have to focus turn the crisis into an opportunity, and climate change will not offer, we don't have luxury of time. So climate change might trigger this cooperation on a regional level. What happened in Senegal, it's the drought that triggered the founding fathers of the Senegal River Basin to cooperate. What happened in the Rhine, it's the pollution what triggered the Rhine countries, the European countries, to foster cooperation. Also what happened in Mekong, it's all the problems that pushed them to push for regional cooperation. For instance, in the Rhine, the media played a very important role, saying that if we, due to the pollution in the Rhine, if we don't cooperate, we will die at the end of the day due to the pollution and the river. So we as a journalist have a role. We have been working on this issue in Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, but unfortunately, especially in our country, due to the economic instability and the political that many governments are formed 6 months now. We have every 6 months we have a new government. So these factors hinder the progress for a regional nexus. But there is a role for civil society. You as an FI have been doing a lot of research and policy papers. So if all these combined efforts with the also support of ESCWA and UFM as have been done in different countries in the world. So a regional cooperation at the end of the day could be tangible if we triggered all stakeholders. We tell them that these are the benefits. So when you share the benefits and focus more on opportunities, so it's easier to advocate for such an approach.
I think I will ask the same question to Soumaya. It's like, in your opinion, what are key reforms that are needed on the national level to start having some entry points for enhanced cooperation between Mediterranean countries? I mean, are our institutions, our policy framework, our governance system, is it ready to actually to take this nexus approach from the theoretical towards something that is more tangible? Soumaya, are you still with us? I think she was having some connection problems earlier. I think she's not here. Okay, we'll come back to Soumaya. So maybe I'll ask this the same question to Mr. Isidro. In your opinion, what do countries, individual countries, need to do to have this more of entry points for more cooperation on the regional level?
Well, thank you. The countries, the first thing they have to do or to admit is that they cannot do things better alone. We need the international cooperation. We have the tools, we have the instruments, and to a certain extent, we have even some financing to do things together. I know this is always said and not always implemented, but there is no other way. I think if we organize this same seminar in 30 years to 2050, let's see how fit we will be. We will say, do you remember when we met in 2020 and we were saying that this was going to happen, but people in the street, the usual citizen, they are not still not convinced that all these very dramatic predictions about what is going to happen in terms of, in different sectors due to climatic consequences, water scarcity, lack of collaboration between institutions, between countries. We will see. I think in Europe we have gone through two horrible and very bloody world wars. What was the worst moments in history of the continent when countries stopped speaking and they began to implement individual and nationalistic and populistic measures, ignoring dialogue. So we shouldn't go back to that. And we need, of course, cooperation. We need dialogue. And we need to put measures together, and especially when we're talking about issues where there should be consensus. There are political implications for the problems with water, environment, and youth employment for sure. But at the end of the day, it's the same problem affecting many countries. So we can try to do things together. And now in Barcelona, at the end of November, the 27th of November, we will celebrate our annual regional forum, which is the gathering of the ministers of foreign affairs of the 42 member states, preceded this year, the 26th, also in Barcelona, by the presentation of the new neighborhood policy by the European Union, hosted by Spain. The two things will be organized back to back, and we expect to see we're looking forward to hearing what are the plans of the European Union for the Mediterranean and for the cooperation agreement, for the cooperation schemas that they are already implementing with many countries in the Mediterranean. And we at the Union for the Mediterranean are at a smaller scale, if you like, but also with I think an important power of convening stakeholders and mobilizing financing. We need to send a message of hope at the end of November from the city of Barcelona, I say, to the whole Mediterranean for the next decade and the next 25 years. In these past 25 years, we have done something. Before, the level of cooperation in the Mediterranean region was very low. Now more things are being done, and there are many success stories, yeah, for sure, but much more can be done, and much more will be done. So this is what we have to make people aware of, that we need to work together from the press, as Khaled, Suleiman said before, to all sectors of education, from the to raise awareness about this, the need to change our habit of consumption and production, etc., etc. Thank you, Rana.
Thank you. I mean, we were talking a lot about this regional cooperation at the different scales. My question to you, Reem, is what about the institutions on the regional or sub-regional level? What role do they have in actually moving this topic forward, and which institutions are key on different levels? We talked about knowledge generation, we talked about awareness raising, we talked about financing, we talked about maybe some harnessing political backup, which are all very important elements to have a more successful regional cooperation and an integrated approach. So in your opinion, what are key institutions that are being engaged and those that are not currently engaged and need to be more engaged?
Thank you, Rana. This is a very important question. Actually, institutions are one side of the story. Institutions are really essential because they are the structure that will be driving this change. And it is why we started with capacity building, and we work with countries. So the capacity building with public institutions, with regional entities, as well as national entities. There is an important role in institutional setup, the composition of the institution and their mandate and their authority as well, whether it be for the region, at the regional level or the national level. To be effective as an institution, you have to have a clear mandate and clear authorities to implement that mandate. We at ESCWA, for example, we've been responsible to bring the region together every year for a forum to discuss sustainable development at the Arab regional level, called the Arab Forum for Sustainable Development. Actually, this started since 2015 when the 2030 agenda was adopted. The first forum was organized. And this forum brings people, brings countries and together at the Arab regional level, but brings people or stakeholders, experts from different sectors. So from the environment to the social, to the economic sector, to governance and political representatives. So it is the right podium to discuss and share experiences and discuss the way forward for the region. It is an annual setup, but and it is mandated, and we provide the input of that forum goes as a regional input to the high-level political forum that takes place every year in New York to follow up and review on the implementation of the 2030 agenda. This is an important forum for the region, and I think part of our work in that arena is also at institutional level, but we have to go at policies level. Policies and strategies need to be coherent at the national and regional levels. You can have a good institution and no strategy or policies that can be implemented on the ground and have an impact. Assessing progress at the Arab regional level, because this was a question I was supposed to answer previously, is a very difficult question to answer. We don't have the means to assess the progress. However, we can talk about initiatives that tell us we're moving forward. The capacities are being built. There are pieces that you can put together and say, yes, we are progressing. Where we want to go, are we leading where we want to go? I can't answer that question. How far it will take us? It is a long journey. It is a process. But with the proper capacities and data, I think we can reach somewhere. This is where the important issue of data comes to mind. Unfortunately, this is the biggest hurdle. In my opinion, as a development practitioner and someone who's been in this business for 20 years, data is essential for us to see where we want to go and how. We have to build it on evidence. We have to have data. It is lacking in the Arab region big time. The main and essential data, we don't have it on timely basis. So we have it always late. So no decisions are taken based on timely data, on late data. We have data now. We are trying to put together a report on the food security status within the pandemic. Data is scattered and not provided because governments fear data sharing at this level. It's not shared in a well-defined channel that we can use to bring. You send a survey and you receive the results very late. So data is essential. We talked about consultations and dialogue and time and time for policymakers to make policies, to put strategies, to put plans. And then usually, because policies are politically driven, usually they forget about evidence, they forget about science, and politics comes in and drive this process of policies. Politics and political issues are the driving force for policies, which will really sometimes derail the path to development. My other issue that I really want to reiterate here again is the technology issue. We can't be the region that is technologically challenged and have any progress. We need to follow the technological path so that we are on the right track. We are now not on the right track. Working together, putting conflicts and the past aside and looking to a brighter future is the way forward. We have been working on cross-sectoral knowledge sharing. We've worked on projections of impact of climate change on water availability and hence projecting the productivity of the agricultural sector. This is an important issue for a region that depends on rain-fed agriculture and its water resources are getting scarcer by the day. We want, for example, to use the data and the information that was generated with these projections. We want to channel them to become policies, but that is a big challenge because we are faced with this to use this nexus approach and the outcome of this comprehensive data. We need to sit with the water ministries, agricultural ministries, energy ministries, statistics offices, ministries of planning and finance. So it is in implementation, it becomes complicated and delays the process. So we are on the track, but a bit slow on the track.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, this is very interesting because you mentioned data and you mentioned the technology track as an important tool to actually implement an integrated approach. And I have a question here from Sabrina from the audience, and she's asking about decentralization. And this question, I think, is addressed to Khaled. Like, do you believe that it's a mandatory condition of democratic society, and should that be pushed with policymakers as a tool maybe towards a more practical piecemeal implementation of an access approach?
Yeah, thank you for...
I'm sorry, just to interrupt you, but just to say to the attendees that if they have any questions, again, that they can send them to the Q&A tab so that we can address them.
Yeah, thank you, Rana, for the question. You know, decentralization strategies mean, you know, how to give the authority to local government to manage, to lead the project. Sometimes we face difficulties with the, you know, central decision. Because I'm specialized in Iraq, so I'm going to give you an example from Iraq. So now, actually, we are working, I'm conducting a project of, you know, developed and funded by Free Press Unlimited. You know, we are working with the local journalists, and we are working on solution journalism. This is the method, local solution journalism. So we see how we can work on responsive journalism, and there was a response from local authority, but in the authority, central government in Baghdad doesn't know about anything in Basra. Just they have, you know, central policy about water management. They have dialogue with Iran, with Turkey, with other countries, but we have to know because local population, local authority, they have more experience. They have a kind of chronology with development of water scarcity, of climate change, or everything. So that's what I mean exactly. I mean in my suggestion, and in some context, I would like to mention we need an ecosystem information for water. So this could be established by many factors and many stakeholders, local authorities, local communities, scientific community, journalists. That we are just. I'm going to also to mention another project. A member of UFM and 5+5, which is France. Now France is conducting a huge project in Middle East and MENA region for around 30 journalists. How to cover environmental issues. Fortunately, I'm a part of this project, and we are going to produce and write remarkable stories about water-related issues, climate challenges in the region, because a journalist can create an ecosystem information for decision makers, for policy makers. So this is my goal: how to bridge how to build a bridge between decision makers, international community, policy makers, and local community. This is, I think, the good way to look for a good future for the region.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take another question from also, I think it's Stuart from the audience. And his question is to Reem, to May, to Khaled. Will we see the emergence of a water and energy community similar to the European coal and steel community that created economic cooperation around the sharing of natural resources, or is this unfathomable? So I don't know, maybe we can start with Reem on this question. It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I really don't know. However, I think we truly believe that when the cooperation is beneficial for all parties, it will go forward. When it promises to bring fruits, and it will be a win-win situation for all, or if there are trade-offs, they are well-calculated trade-offs that will support a longer run or a longer term fruitful cooperation, it usually works. And in our region, there are areas that cannot move forward without this regional cooperation and integration. It is not about the sentiments of the region, history, shared history, shared language. No, it is about interests of citizens, interests of people on the ground. So I think it can happen, but when is the question, and I am not sure when the regional setup will allow such a regional cooperation to be fruitful and work on economic terms.
May, do you agree with me?
For me, the community for energy and water, we have been calling for this within Blue Peace initiative. And here I would like to highlight, this was the initiative by Prince Hassan bin Talal in Jordan. He has been advocating for it, and we have a lot of meetings in Switzerland and in Jordan, Turkey. We have been advocating to have it like a similar, like the European Union, it was in coal and steel, to have a regional cooperation council on water and energy. as you know, due to the political situation and instability in our region, this initiative didn't see the light. However, nowadays, Jordan mainly is focusing on water diplomacy and also making the crisis as like outstanding foundation for more cooperation, and it will there will be a forum for water diplomacy in the Middle East, and we are counting on this initiative to be implemented as soon as possible. It's with the OIC countries, and hopefully it will be the stepping stones toward this community.
Okay, thank you, May. So my final question, it is also from the audience to Mr. Isidro. It's regarding, I think you've already addressed part of this question regarding the 25 years of the Barcelona process. What have we learned? What emerges as a success for regional cooperation? And what is coming as your priorities during your term?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we partially tackled this issue before. What we have tackled what we have achieved in the last 25 years is precisely that the European Union looks to the south. It was too much concentrated. That was a vision from my country, from Spain. I'm a Spanish diplomat. I also work for the Spanish Foreign Ministry. The European Union was too much concentrated on Central and Northern Europe and Eastern Europe, if you like, later with the accession of new countries. And in some way they were forgetting the South. And the problems in the South are the problem of Europe. We are interconnected, we are neighbors, and we cannot just build walls and ignore the reality in the South and in the East. So that was a big achievement of the Barcelona Declaration in 1995, that we signed that we will make things together. And the European Union acknowledged that they had to look to the South, and they had to integrate policies of the South, and they had to give a high priority to the southern neighborhoods. So this is and this has been taking place during the past 25 years. Then in 2008, at the Paris Summit, the Union for the Mediterranean was created. So we are still a very young organization. We have only 12 years, so we are still a baby in some way compared to other organizations. And now in 2020, as I said before, the time has come for a renewal of the hope in the Mediterranean, and for a relaunching of the European Union engagement in the Mediterranean, and also for a relaunching of the idea of further integration, and of strengthening the way of working together. Because at the end of the day, what is happening in Lebanon, what is happening in Morocco, what is happening in Italy is affecting more or less a certain degree to all of us. And at the end of the day, we have the same problems. And as the European Union at the beginning, there was no hope that the European countries after the World War II will be able to work together. I think finally we have succeeded to work together, the European countries. And why not one day having a union for the Mediterranean, or Mediterranean Union that could mean that all countries in the Mediterranean are working together hand to hand with the European partners, and we are sharing the same answers, and we are sharing the same space. This is very idealistic, but it was very idealistic, the creation of the European Union in 1957. Nobody was believing that would be possible. So why not a Mediterranean integration, little by little, beginning by social and economic issues, environmental issues, where there is a consensus and where we can really work together. So this is the big achievement, a change of the mentality, and now we can see that the European Union is looking to the South, And we still think in Spain, in Italy, in the southern Mediterranean, in the southern European countries that the European Union, they can do more. And we in Barcelona, in Spain, at the Union for the Mediterranean Sea offices, we are trying to remind Brussels all the time that they need to look to the south, because we have the same problems, and we have to work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And with this, we conclude this seminar today. I would like to thank all of the speakers for this really enriching discussion. And I will give it back to Patricia. Is she still with us?
Yes, thank you, Rana.
Yes.
Thank you so much for everyone for your contributions and for allowing this fruitful discussion. Well, we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Central European Time for the second UNWAS webinar, in which we will be covering innovative, youth-driven solutions for water and energy in the Mediterranean. Rami will be moderating the session. And we will also announce the UNWAS Mediathon winners just after the session. So thank you, everyone, and see you tomorrow then.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.